Hey out there in TikToky land. If you, like me, are also celebrating 420, International Stoner Holiday, you might appreciate a few random factoids I was going to share with you. First up on those, did you know how Earth is like 70% water? Did you know human beings are too? We're about the same. And did you know that our blood has about the same salt content as the oceans? So if you're going to think about it in a particular way, you could say that we aren't really land animals. We're more really well-adapted sea creatures that carry the ocean around with us. Or we're mini planets.
Did you know that Dracula is related to Sherlock Holmes and Spock from Star Trek?
Another weird one is that most of the genetic material that you carry around isn't actually just you. A big proportion of that is the microorganisms that live on and in you, like your intestinal biome. Today's Hitler's birthday. Since a vulture is adapted to eating really nasty meat, it has stomach acids that are comparable to that in your car battery, which means that its natural defense, if it's ever confronted by an animal and it's too heavy to take off, what it immediately does is barfs in their face. I think it's actually a bit of a flawed statistic. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but I have heard that every 7 years, your body has replaced every cell, meaning that every 7 years, you're basically a whole new you. You ever just sit down and divide your age by 7 to see how many yous in you are? You have tiny, tiny mites living all over your skin, and in particularly like your eyebrows and your eyelashes, and they eat the dead skin cells off of your face. Going back to how we might just be really well-adapted sea creatures that carry the ocean around with us, or even little mini planets ourselves, have you ever heard of how they sometimes are able to cure stuff like Crohn's disease? Crohn's disease is an intestinal problem that people run into, and a way that they found to possibly treat it is they will reintroduce a healthy gut biome. By which I mean they will take the healthy poop from someone with a healthy intestinal flora and reintroduce it by blending it up into a poopy puree and injecting it up the bum of the person suffering the illness. This hopefully cures them by reintroducing the extinct or endangered creature. Avatar, Pocahontas, and Dances with Wolves, they're all the same movie. The stink from your smelly feet is actually the feces of the microorganisms that are eating your sweat. Hey, do you like vanilla? Like vanilla ice cream, the smell of vanilla? Hey, do you know where vanilla actually comes from, vanilla extract? It comes from a beaver's anus glands. It comes from a beaver's anus glands. Speaking of anal glands, you ever notice your dog dragging its butthole on your carpet? No, like it's got some deep, deep itch in there. What's happening there is your dog has these weird little glands on either side of its butthole that's used for making particular smells in its poop. Because animals communicate a lot more by poop scent than, people do. They send little messages to each other. And when they have a blockage in one of those glands, what they're doing by dragging their butthole on your rug is trying to dislodge that blockage. You experience time in a linear fashion. They say that it isn't actually linear, that it actually happens all the time, all at once. So what I personally think deja vu might be is a little glimpse into time as it actually exists.
Hey, you know how, generally speaking, for a long time, it was thought that, if you were to narrow down what your thoughts are, if they're a detectable thing, it would probably be the little electrical impulses that jump from synapse to synapse in your brain. But it turns out that a lot of people are starting to think that what your thoughts actually are is the chemical reactions that happen in your brain, and that the electrical impulses are just like a byproduct of those chemical reactions. Now, for me, this says something kind of interesting about substances. Because if your thoughts are the chemicals and those electrical impulses between your synapses are just a byproduct of those chemicals, you are in those chemicals. So when you imbibe a chemical like alcohol or whatever recreational or not so recreational medicinal substance, prescribed substance, when you introduce that into your basic brain chemistry, you're kind of experiencing a different you. You got the same basic hardware. You're just filtering all your life experiences and memories through a different lens. Everybody knows that one asshole that it seems like the only reason he even goes out to the bar is to pick a fight with somebody. Or the guy that he's such a nice guy, but then he goes home and beats the shit out of his wife and kids. Or the introvert, who all of a sudden they're the funniest fucking person around. Or they're an amazing karaoke singer. And you're just like, wow, they're such a different person. I mean, in some ways, you're right.
Did you know every time you remember something, you're actually just remembering the last time you remembered it? If God is the universe, he might be as unaware of us as we are of our gut biome. And it seems like time seems to be going faster, and it seems like summers used to last forever when you were a kid, is because they kind of did. When you're a kid, you don't really know very much, and there's much more about the world that you need to learn, so you're slowed down in your perception of it, so you can pick up a little bit more on your way. By the time you get to be an adult, it's kind of expected that you know about all you need to know to continue living as an adult, so you don't need to pick up as much, and you're actually experiencing time a little bit closer to what it actually is.